Hi guys, it's Sophie. So I know a few people had said they struggle with my audio quality, so I'm going to try again with my proper camera. Very long story short, I have changed my laptop and I don't have anything that has USBs or anything, and it's been a bit of an issue for lots of different devices I use, and it also doesn't have a camera card slot. So I was stumped as to how I could get content from this camera to my new stuff, but I think I might have found out a solution. So I'm going to cross my fingers and hope that it works. I have a dock thing that might let me do it. We're going to see. And the reason why the audio might be better is because my phone, which is what I'm filming on currently, has no like external mic, and this camera I have a mic attachment that I can add to it. Okay, so I wanted to talk about book prizes and my reading plans. So I'd planned to read the International Booker long list this year, that was the plan, but there's been lots of hype about the Women's Prize. Loads of people are reading the Women's Prize, and I was like, maybe I should read the Women's Prize this year, maybe I should read something different. So I put it on Instagram and you guys overwhelmingly, like 66% I think, said to read the Women's Prize. So I'm going to do at least some of the Women's Prize, but I thought what we could do is just chat through what I've read. I'll just tell you the titles of the books that are in there and my interest in them. But part of my brain also wants to do the International Booker long list, and part of me wants to do another prize list that someone recommended to me on Instagram and I haven't heard anyone else talking about on my booktube community. So I'll talk you through that one as well. So I need to kind of decide what I want to do, because as much as I would love to have the time to do 3 prizes all at the same time, I don't have nearly that amount of time in my life. So I don't know if I'm going to do a mix and match or I need to just commit to one thing, but I'm going to talk through stuff, tell you what my thoughts are, and yeah, hopefully if you can help me decide maybe in the comments, that would be really appreciated. So looking at the Women's Prize for Fiction for 2021, I have actually read 3 of the books that are on the list, which is a really good start and makes it quite appealing. So I have read The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, I've read Luster by Raven Leilani, and I've also read G-Transition Baby by Tori Peters. So there's 3 down. And I've started listening to, today, I'll put some vlog footage in, started listening to Exciting Times on audiobook. So I had downloaded that book ages ago and never got around to listening to it, so it seemed like a good time. So there's 16 books on the list in total, and what I thought I'd do is just really quickly just say what they are and my level of interest in them, and then we'll move on to the next kind of plan. So another one is Burnt Sugar by Doshney. I've had lots of people comment in my videos and on Instagram telling me I really like this, so I am interested to read that one. It almost feels like it's one of those books for me where it's so everywhere. I'm worried I might not like it purely because of how high expectations are, but I do want to read it, and I think everyone keeps telling me how much I'd like it, so that's quite appealing. Because of You by Dawn French, I don't really want to read that one. Not like I actively don't, but like there's nothing that particularly pulls me about it, but I also haven't heard anything about it. Obviously I know who Dawn French is, I like Dawn French, but I have no like knowledge to draw on to draw me toward the book, and probably if it wasn't on this long list it wouldn't have been the type of book I expect I would have known about at all. So that one's a kind of middle ground. Then Claire Fuller's Unsettled Ground is next, and I have read, I don't know which book it was, let me see if I can see it. Oh, I can't quite see it. Somewhere up there. There it is, Our Endless Numbered Days by Claire Fuller, and I enjoyed that a lot. So the Claire Fuller one I'm definitely up for, having read her before and liked her. And then Transcendent Kingdom by Yard Jessie. I'm pretty sure I have read a Yard Jessie book. Again, I'm gonna stare at my shelves. I feel like I have. I can't see anything up there right now, but I kind of feel like I've read her before. I can't remember whether she wrote like a non-fiction piece. Not sure, maybe I haven't read her before, but that's something that I've seen like Lauren in the books in particular say is going to be really good. I've seen lots of other people put it on their Women's Prize predictions, so I'm pretty interested in that one. How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps the House. I've actually seen quite a few people chatting about this one, and whilst I wasn't expecting it to be on the list necessarily, I'm excited that it is. I haven't read it, so I'd say that's like mid-level excitement, but I'm hearing some like low-level buzz. Then No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. I've definitely never read Patricia Lockwood before, so I'm feeling really neutral about that one. If anyone really likes her and wants to, like, you know, hype me up for it, please do. Then Consent by Ella Lyon. Again, new author to me, haven't read her, have very little knowledge of the book, so if you want to hype me about it, please do. Nothing But Blue Sky by Catherine McMahon. I read the blurb of that one on Waterstones, and it feels like quite summery. We'll get on to summery books in a minute, but it feels quite summery, so part of me is like, maybe I should save that until later on. Then Ali Smith's Summer. Ali Smith and I don't think I have the same reader relationship lots of people on BookTube have. I don't seem to get the hype around her books. I read her books, they're nice, I think they're written beautifully, but I don't have that same emotional connection. However, I know it will be a good thing to be reading, like I won't regret reading it, it's just not that special for me. So I'm glad that one's there, I think that's quite a safe one for me. Then Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers. I have bought this one already, so I've already bought that one, so that sounds like that's going to be really good fun. I think that's probably the one on the list I'll read next when I finish Exciting Times. Then Piranesi sounds weird, but I've heard a few people say it's really worth a go. Probably the weirdness would have driven me away before, so now it's drawing me in. So I think Piranesi might be another one I pick up fairly soon. And then just really briefly, I wanted to mention The Golden Rule by Amanda Craig. I said on my Instagram I won't be reading this one. The author has made transphobic comments before. She was fired from Dyslexia because of her views. So I'm not buying that book or putting money towards it. So essentially the Women's Prize long list for me is 15 books long. I'm literally discounting it. If it was up to me, I would put boy parts in the hole. But yeah, so that's one book down. So currently I've read 3, I'm not reading 1, and I'm like 20 minutes into another one. So out of the 16, discount 1, so 15, read 3, 12, reading 1, 11. So that feels like fairly achievable. And it might be that a few of them, if I'm not like super interested in the plot, I might just not pick them up. Don't know that I would pressure myself to read all of them. Whereas the international booker, often it's the ones I'm like, not sure, and then I read them and I love them. Whereas I feel like the Women's Prize for Fiction, it would be easier for me to judge whether I like them or not on like cover and what's it called? Like summary, book summary. Blurb. On like the blurb, I think I could probably choose that pretty well based on what I'm interested in and what I'm not. So obviously for all of those books, I just headline them. The reason I've done that is I know a lot of people that will subscribe to me will subscribe to Simon and Lauren, who've done like a full in-depth talk through each of these books, and I don't want to just have the same content there. But if you want to read more about them, go to their channels, they have lovely summaries from both of them, or obviously the Women's Prize, you can read more about it. But the time I wanted to spend in this video, just because I haven't heard people talking about it, is the one that someone very kindly recommended to me on Instagram, which is, I think it's called the Gelack Prize. 2 seconds, let me figure that out. I would say I got it close. I would say it's you said a little bit quicker. It's the Gelack Prize, but I'd never heard of it, and it sounds really interesting. They describe it on their website as seeking to celebrate books by British or British resident BAME writers. There's an adult fiction section and non-fiction, like an adult section, and a children's and young adult section to the prize. And it was when I asked on Instagram to say, basically, I only have 2 books, I now have one of those books left, on my TBR, I need some more books, but I didn't want to have like loads because I was planning on doing the Booker International. So I've bought 2 of the books on that long list, and I wanted to tell you what they're about and also do a like quick summary of the other books on that list. So the first one I bought, which is quite shiny, you can't really see it, but it's called Inferno, and it's by Catherine Cho. And this is a book about a woman who, I think it's a memoir, yeah, this is a memoir of a woman who has a baby, and I think probably from the pregnancy or from the birth has psychosis immediately following that, and goes to a psychiatric hospital for 2 weeks because she's so acutely unwell. And that sounds really fascinating. I like reading about motherhood, new motherhood, and madness. So that's right in my wheelhouse, so that's the first one. And then the next one I picked up is Poor by Caleb Famey. And this is a poetry collection and photography, which is pretty cool. So there's photos in there alongside the poems. And I'm pretty sure that these are all around like black guys in Brixham. It's quite, oh no, sorry, it's Peckham. Black guys in Peckham, and it's like quite a specific set of people that these poems, these images are like capturing. I'm not really good with London geography, so if those two things are the same place, I'm really sorry. Lots of people, for some reason, assume I'm from London. I've been to London probably like 6 times total, but it sounds really interesting, and I really liked the way Black Futures like moulded lots of different art forms together, and I think that's partly why this one appealed so much. So those are the 2 that I've bought, but I wanted to just run over the rest of the long list just to share what's on there, because I think there's others I'd be pretty interested to pick up too. Okay, so the next one on the list is an antiemetic for homesickness by Romulan Anti. And I'm going to read you this. This is from Penguin's website. Steeped in the richness of Filipino folklore and studded with tagalong, these poems speak of the ache of assimilation and the complexities of belonging, telling the stories of generations of migrants who find exile through employment, through the voices of mothers who leave and the children who are left behind. That one sounds pretty interesting to me. Okay, and the next one is called Ari Desire, and it's by Afshan Daziki Lodi. And this is a debut poetry collection exploring the yearning to be loved, to love and be loved, and to belong from a Desi South Asian perspective. Her work sits on the intersections of flash fiction, poetry and script, echoing the hybridity of the worlds that many young British Desis find themselves occupying. So another poetry one. I kind of think it's pretty cool that this prize has like memoir alongside poetry, alongside like art stuff. That just seems like really good fun, like as a reader to go through those. Okay, the next one is I think like historical fiction. It's called The Mercies by Millward Hargrave. And Waterstones says, taking a real-life witch trial as her inspiration, Hargrave's adult debut weaves an atmospheric tale of self-sufficient womanhood and sexual suspicion in a tight-knit island community during the 17th century. That sounds so good. Like, that sounds so much fun. So there's a lot of books on here that are definitely intriguing. Then the next one is called A More Perfect Union by Tammy Huff. And this is described by Waterstones as a powerful exploration of affection and oppression. A More Perfect Union traces a tragic love story between an Irish immigrant and a black slave woman on a 19th century Virginia plantation. That one I'm less interested in, but there has to be some, right? There's always some stuff on a long list that you're not as interested in, but that one isn't one that immediately draws me in. Then the next one is another poetry collection, and I really nearly bought this. Like when I was scrolling through the prize to see which ones I was interested in, this was one I like added to my basket and then was like, oh, I probably should just buy 2. But it's called My Darling from the Lions, and 2 seconds. It says, each poem has a vivid story to tell, of family quirks, the peril of dating, the grip of religion and sexual awakening. Stories that are, by turn, emotionally insightful, politically conscious, wise, funny and outrageous. And it was reviewed positively by Bernardine Evaristo, which is great. So yeah, I think that one might make its way to me, whatever it is I do with the next few months. Okay, the next one is really interesting too. It's non-fiction. I love it. I love that this prize is such a mix. I would have kicked my camera, I apologise. So it's called The Address Book by Deirdre Mask, and it says, what street addresses reveal about identity, race, wealth and power. So it's looking at postcodes. I love shit like that. I love like tiny non-fiction things that I can spew facts about. So that again, super interested in that. Okay, so the next one is called Are We Home Yet by Massey. This one draws me in less immediately than some of the others, but Waterstones says, moving between Canada, Leeds and Jamaica, exploring the themes of family, class, identity and shame, Are We Home Yet is a captivating and heartfelt account of a ruptured mother-daughter relationship. I'm not as into like mother-daughter books as I'm into like books about motherhood, so it's interesting I said that to start with, but kind of like the feeling before motherhood and the decisions about motherhood. But mother-daughter relationships aren't something that draw me necessarily into a book. So that one isn't like quite as exciting, but it still could be really good. Then next is The First Woman by Jennifer Nanzuba. Nanzabuga Mukambi. I'm trying, I am really honestly trying. And the other thing is sometimes when I'm pausing, I'm trying to look up name pronunciations, and sometimes they're there and they're really clear, and sometimes I struggle. I apologise, I should do better and try and research more between them, but I never remember. So like sometimes with videos like this where I know there's names that I will struggle to read straight off the bat, like unfamiliar names of whatever country that person's from. Around the World was a nightmare with that. I'll try and find them, but the pronunciations in my brain, I need to just hear it then say it. Yeah, so this is listed, again, Waterstones. I like the little Waterstone snippets. It says it's an intoxicating coming-of-age story set against the brutality of Idi Amin's Uganda. The First Woman is a hymn to survival, rebellion, and the enduring power of the female spirit. This one doesn't appeal to me as much as the others, so it's one of those that I'm not hugely invested in, though again, we ended up reading this long list instead, or whatever. I don't really know what I'm going to do. We're going to chat about that in a minute, but maybe it would be really good. It's one of those things. That's kind of what these prizes are good for, is ones that are like slightly outside of your interest, getting you to go have a go, and then sometimes you love the ones you weren't sure you were going to like to start with. Okay, so the next one is called Rainbow Milk by Paul Mendez. This is another one I like very nearly bought, but because I was like trying to be restrained, I didn't buy this one. So it's an intersectional coming-of-age story following 19-year-old Jesse McCarthy as he grapples with his racial and sexual identities against the backdrop of a Jehovah's Witness upbringing and the legacy of the Windrush generation. I really like that. I think it's set in Wolverhampton, which I think is so cool because there are so many parts of the UK I feel like there are never stories from. My stepdad is from Wolverhampton. I've been up there. I used to work up there actually. I had like a job which was split between the southwest and Wolverhampton, but like I probably have no books on my shelves that are actually set in Wolverhampton, so I think that's pretty cool. And I like that it's like got race and sexuality and that intersexuality, so that one is tick on my boxes. And then the last one is called What's Left of Me Is Yours, and it's by Stephanie Scott. And Waterstones says, following a woman in search of the truth of her mother's murder in modern Tokyo, What's Left of Me Is Yours is an intoxicating, beautifully constructed story about betrayal and the brutal things that are done in the name of love. It is inspired by true crime, which like makes me want to read it a little bit more than if it was fictional, the kind of thriller stuff, or like murder fiction, crime fiction. Normally isn't my like cup of tea. But if it's based on like a true story, then I maybe have a bit more interest in it. So that is the long list. Let me just check how many books there are. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So there's only 12. And I'm pretty sure that's the whole, yeah, that's the whole long list. So there's, okay, now's the decision time. The maths and the decision time. So, let me settle myself. So, we figured out that there's 12 books on the Gelack Prize long list, and that I own 2. So there's 10 books that I don't yet own that I'd have to buy to do this. Cost comes into this as well. And for the Women's Prize for fiction, I've already read 3 and I own 1 on Audible. So we've got 4 out of 15, so there's 11. So basically what I'm saying is there's like 12 and 11 books in total. But of the ones I've got yet to buy, I would have 21 books. So, because they're concurrent, and I think like I do also want to read the International Booker, but that doesn't come until the end of this month, and I'm starting to get excited about the idea of like prize reading, and I've got an exam and I can't dedicate so much time to this because my exam's in May, so I have to focus. But I think it sounds, because I've got a really tiny TBR at the moment, I literally have these 2 books here, which are on one of the prize lists already, and Acacia really kindly bought me, let me grab it. Yeah, so Acacia really kindly bought me this book, which is called Who Was Changed and Who Is Dead by Barbara Commerce, and I'd never heard of it. It is about a virus that affects people's behaviour in a small village in England. Love it, so excited for this one. So yeah, because I've just got these 3 books and the other book I'm reading is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I can't remember the author's name. But this is a really good time for me to be like, not necessarily trying to read loads, but maybe choosing to read the books that are on lists. So the other thing I'm trying to do at the same time, this gets really complicated, this feels really complicated, is I'm also trying to read the books from Roxane Gay's book club every month. So that's 1 book a month. And I would say currently I'm probably reading on average like 8 books a month. So, maths. Okay, so all of these prizes end like just before my exam. So there's no cramming going on, I can't do that. And it is like towards the end of May. So let's just pretend, just for argument's sake, it's the end of May. Then we'll have 2 months, and now we are on the 13th, so we have 2.5 months. And if I can read 8 books a month, then that means I have 20 books that I can read between like today and the end of May without massively increasing what I'm doing. So I already have 2 books, Before the Coffee Gets Cold and Who Is Changed and Who Is Dead, that I need to read because I own them, and I try and read things pretty quick when I own them. So I would have, if we do 2.5 times 8 minus 2, I have 18 books that I could pick up and read within that time without affecting my exam and without... Sorry, the camera stopped, I've been talking too long. But so I have 18 books I could read in that time without it affecting my exam performance and without it being above and beyond what I'd normally read. That's a good thing. So we figured out that there were 12 books on this list. So that would give me only 6 books left to read of the Women's Prize for fiction. But I think there's more books I'm excited for on the Gelack Prize than there are books I'm excited for on the Women's Prize long list. Though I have bought 2. I thought they might have turned up for this video and they haven't. So 2 of them I bought. I think I told you 1, but I didn't tell you the other. So maybe what I'll do, and I need your help, is I'm gonna scrap the Booker International because I'm too excited about all this now and I don't think I can wait. Is to read the best of each, like choose my best of the best for 2 prize lists. And knowing I've already read 3 from the Women's Prize and I have 1 I'm reading and I could read 6, that would give me 10 books of the 15 I'm choosing to read. So it'd only be 5 books short. And I could read then, if I wanted to, the full Gelack Prize within those 2 months. Which kind of feels achievable. And even if, let's say, like I wanted to swip and shop, if I wanted to switch and swap some books, say there's like a couple in the Gelack Prize I said I'm not that interested in, but let's say the Women's Prize, there was another one on the list and I was like, oh actually loads of people are saying it's amazing. Maybe I try and do both, but just not worry about completing them, and if I don't complete both it doesn't matter. And also that timeline means I'd read them all before the prize winners announced for the Gelack Prize and most of them for the Women's Prize announcement, but I wouldn't be able to do like a short list. That's too much reading in too short of a time. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm feeling really optimistic and positive and excited about this, and hang on. I thought this video was finished. Give me one more thing. I think that I'll have finished my exam and my study before the Booker, like the main Booker 2021 comes out. Yeah, so the Booker dozen comes out in July. My exam's in May, and I reckon it's probably going to take me a month to do the extra study on the end that I have to do after the exam's done for my final unit. So maybe that's what I do. Maybe between now and when the Booker comes out, I read as much of the Women's Prize and as much of the Gelack Prize as I like, plus some oddities in the middle. And then July is like my freedom date and I get to do the whole Booker at pace, because that could be really good fun. Yeah, I'm going to shut up because I've been talking literally for like 40 minutes. It's lovely to talk to you. I really hope you can hear me a bit better on this, and I really, 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 really hope that I can get this footage onto my new laptop somehow witchcraft, I don't know. Yeah, I love you guys lots, and I'll see you again soon in another video. Bye!